Welcome to the Full Nilsson. Today I'm going to be reviewing these Vortex rings, scope rings. Now I don't remember what the exact model of these are. I just know they're the cheapest ones that they make on Amazon, if I recall. I mean, I bought them on Amazon. They're the cheapest ones that Vortex makes. I think they're $20 a ring, or I can't remember how much they cost, but they're cheap. And I've heard a lot of people discuss cheap scope rings, cheap mounts compared to expensive mounts and a lot of that stuff. And just trying to show you guys the way these things mount on here. Got these great big beefy screws here. Anyway, cheap scope rings, cheap mounts, stuff like that compared to more expensive scope rings and more expensive mounts. And if it's just standard scope rings like this that bite down on a Picatinny rail, I've never found there to be a lick of difference between expensive ones and cheap ones. Now some people will say, well, you can bend the erector tube on your rifle scope, you can do this, you can do that. I suspect that could be true if you had scope rings that were just really ski-wampus or whatever. I've just never seen it, ever. In all the scopes that I mounted and all the scopes that my dad's ever mounted or any of my family members or anybody, no matter what rings we were using, whether it was Leupold rings or cheap Weaver rings or no matter what it was, how expensive or how cheap they were, I have never seen a set of rings make it to where the scope either doesn't track properly or doesn't hold zero or affect anything of that nature as far as the rifle scope's concerned. I've never seen it. Now, maybe some of you have, and you can say in the comment section, hey, I've seen this and it can't be a problem or whatever. But I can tell you, for the money, I will keep buying cheap scope rings and cheap bases on all my rifles. The only reason why I'd ever buy an expensive base, like a Night Force base or something like that, is simply because they're the only ones who make the particular base that I need, like a 40 MOA base. If Weaver made one of those, I'd buy a Weaver 40 MOA base, but I think Night Force may be the only company that even makes one of those, so I might have to buy the bullet and get one of those. But as far as the rings and stuff are concerned, I've never found that there is much of a difference between any of them as far as their ability to actually hold the scope on the rifle and maintain zero under heavy recoil and all of those types of things. Now these particular Vortex rings have oodles of screws in the top. You've got 6 screws on each ring, which is probably overkill. I usually like to have 2 at minimum, but I think 6 is probably overkill. I didn't mean 2 minimum, I meant 2 on each side, 4 minimum for each ring. But 6 is oodles. I highly doubt you'd ever need that much. And then on this side where it actually clamps onto the mount, you have these great big nuts. And there's lock washers against this, so that when you tighten it down, you compress the lock washers and it holds that onto the base of your rifle. Now, in my experience, these Vortex rings have worked 100%. I don't have any problem with them. I would highly recommend anybody who's looking for a cheap, decent quality pair of scope rings that you buy these. They are a little bit heavy. They do their job. Nothing else really to be said about it. That's been my experience with them, and wouldn't hesitate to buy them. If you guys have any questions or comments, you can ask them in the comment section. Thanks. See you later.